Vaccine choice. So the main controversial ideas over how the anti-vaccination movement has a voice in today's society is that some are opposed to all vaccines, but oppose the constant mandates for specific vaccines. So just like I said with the absence of like polio or diphtheria, people are like, oh, I don't need this, it's gone completely. So some people are saying that I don't need this, or why do I take it? And with the statewide mandates, statewide governments have their own rulings over the effectiveness towards local education. Some people are not allowed to go to school. They don't have the certain vaccinations that are needed for their children. And so some people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to homeschool them, or like, this is ridiculous, my children just like need to be educated. Why do I have to take this when it's not even present today? And so there's one of the issues that parents fight. And then the big one that's the most popular is a study suggested linked to autism by Dr. Andrew Wakefield. I believe it's 1998 he published a study that proved a link to children or the increase in autism in early ages of children. However, his study was biased. He only used about 11 candidates in his study, and then with people finding out, oh my gosh, this leads autism, oh no, like with that huge popular demand of people actually wondering does this really cause it, a British journalist investigated it and found out that it was elaborate fraud. None of it was true. During this time, lawyers wanted to sue the vaccine companies so they could make a profit, with heartfelt parents wanting to sue the vaccine companies because they're like, oh, if my child has autism, I can blame vaccines and get money back on it. And lawyers would make a huge profit with that idea. Because just yesterday there was a news report that suggested about 5 years ago, 1 in every 132 children had developed autism at an early age, and now it has increased to 1 out of every 88. And when I was watching the news, like it never said anything about linking autism increase to any vaccines, which is actually kind of surprising because everyone is still pretty much enveloped in this idea of that harming their children in a way. Also, they decided to use vaccines as a scapegoat during this time because that's when autism was most profound in young children. Just like I said, with children growing and developing, during that age period, they can also develop other like Down syndrome. That's how their body is changing. So with that introduction to something new that they're inheriting through their body or bloodstream, parents want to think that it's vaccines that are causing this. Now there's also the inability to afford such vaccines. So on the private sector, it's with the doctor bills and everything, it's around $600 per vaccine. And in the public sector, such as public health county districts, it's free. And there's also been a lot of programs, like the CDC is also promoting vaccinations by giving states free vaccines so they can make sure that every individual has the right to be safe in their environment and community protection and all. And so basically, even in the private sector, you have healthcare, which pretty much covers all the cost of it. The rare side effects, there are rare side effects to all these vaccines, but just like I said, they are rare. And usually when you have a vaccine, there's just usually redness at the spot of the vaccination, and you may or may not have a fever 2 to 3 days after receiving it. This is just how your body is fighting that bacteria and responding to the immunization. And also the other one is against religious views. So some people think that it's the religion just doesn't look well onto the idea of having something against that. I can't. Yeah?
So back to the side effects. What are some of the side effects that you can get from vaccines?
I believe that some of them include like pneumonia, or I mean, there's different ways to. I don't really know. I mean, I do know, but I have the VIS statements for you guys to look over, where you guys can learn every kind of side effect that is possible. However, it is rare. The main ones that they broadly have across the board is just a fever or a redness at the site.
If there's the science that they thought was science that proves vaccines cause autism has been completely disproved in science, has disproved this theory completely, why is there still such a commotion about it?
Because people still believe in the idea. Even though there's studies that there have been proved that the measles vaccine isn't linked to autism, parents are still suspicious. There's still that belief.
For the statement you made about religion, isn't one of the main reasons why religious groups refuse vaccines or because they believe that if someone gets sick, it's up to God to heal them?
Yes, exactly. I just remember, because in school we're not really supposed to talk about religion, so I didn't want to affect anyone in that ideological behavior. And another one about religion is that the HPV vaccination that some children are getting today is that it promotes sex, and Catholics don't. They believe in abstinence. So it's kind of like that.
Earlier, I think you were talking about how they were aiming to make vaccines that were compatible with like a broad variety of like a large portion of the population,
yes,
including like people with like AIDS and other diseases. Did you say that?
Yeah, I believe they said that. I just didn't know.
Like my primary question is how the side effects like infection more dangerous with people with compromised immune systems like AIDS patients and people
just like antibiotic resistant patients. They're trying to like modify vaccines in a way so they can still, just like with gene therapy, people are trying to find ways to introduce them and make sure they're healthy. There's different ways that the science is developing today so we can modify it, but it's not completely there yet.
So, like, with a person with a compromised immune system, would they get a full-blown infection as if the vaccine was the actual...
They wouldn't even give you the vaccine. You have to talk to your doctor before you even think about it.
So they make sure that these people don't get these vaccines?
Yes. With every VIS statement by the state of law, it is required that every doctor give their patient and the parents of the children VIS statement forms which will tell you what the vaccine does, what disease this is going to cure or provide immunity for me, and what happens, the rare side effects, the side effects to it, and what happens if I do get those rare side effects. There is a payment program that pays for all your medical bills to completely cover and make sure that you aren't going to eventually recover. Okay, give you guys one more minute, and then we'll start. Hey guys, ready? Yeah, we only have 6 more minutes until out of class. Okay, there's a bell. Okay. So, who wants to start first? Okay. I'm going to pick that. You guys.
Okay, so we'll go first, I guess. So, we had the chickenpox vaccine. So, before they had the vaccine, they had 11,000 people being hospitalized each year. They had about 100 people dying each year without the vaccine. So, that's one reason why you should obviously get it. If you go over, you should definitely wait if you have anything that would compromise your immune system.
Yeah, the list kind of goes on to say, like, if you have AIDS, which pretty much destroys your immune system, you should most likely get it, which kind of makes sense. If you're immunely, if you have a bad immune system, you're most likely not going to want to give yourself a mild version of the strain just to get a resistance to it. You're most likely not going to get a resistance to it and actually getting the disease in the first place. It also includes such things as pregnant women, which is another kind of duh. Of course, you wouldn't really want to get a vaccine when you're pregnant because the child really doesn't have its own immune system yet. People who are moderately ill, when your immune system is already busy doing something else, you don't really want to put more and excess strain on it. It also goes to people who are getting cancer treatment with radiation drugs and any kind of cancer, which also makes sense. So if you look at the logical of why you shouldn't get it for these specific reasons, it just shows the kind of duh answers. If you're doing something that's not exactly good for the disease to begin with, then why would you want to get a disease to get build resistance to it? It also states that 100 people died each year, and if you look at the amount of people who died comparatively to getting the shot and then the disease and actually dying from it, it says, I think it was one in, I don't remember.
This is very.
Yeah, this is very rare, which like they didn't even give you like a 1 out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's less than 100 people dying in the United States a year. So at least you're getting a better percent chance.
Alright, perfect. Next. Let's hear from JT's and David's.
Alright, so
We're in a separate group.
Oh,
we
okay.
had polio.
No, dude, we're not polio. David.
Yeah, we're polio.
Don't.
You want to start?
Sure. I was kind of in that group, but it's all good.
The polio vaccine, I think the vaccine information statement did a really good job of letting people who are thinking about getting the vaccine know all the hazards and stuff that they need to know before getting the vaccine. And I think that the arguments that the anti-vaccination groups use against the idea of vaccinations are kind of put to rest with like the information that are provided. Because if everyone gets these statements before they have to take the vaccine, it specifies like who shouldn't get the vaccine, when you should get the vaccine, if you have some health issues, how like, and there's also says there's 2 different vaccines. There's like the inactivated polio vaccine, and then that one's like safer for people who have like compromised immune systems and stuff. And especially since it's like a virus and stuff, pretty important that everyone gets the vaccine, because if it, like they, I think viruses can like lay low for a long time, and then they can modify and come back in like a resurgence. So if people don't maintain vaccination, then potentially lead to some bad times.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to Antoinette and Hannah have the combination vaccine. Just like today, where they're creating more different modified techniques of it, there's also sort of like taking one for each shot. They now have the combination ones. So they had one of the combination ones. And what topic did you guys have?
It was the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis.
Yes.
It gives you like what the symptoms of each disease is and when, like, because this one has dosages, like 5 dosages at certain ages, and it tells you when to take these dosages, get these dosages, and what, like David said, when to take it and when you shouldn't get it, as well as what would happen for like older kids and adults. I don't know. We thought that the government shouldn't really regulate or mandate these immunizations, but they should highly recommend it, and it should be increased choices.
Alright, so as a class, what do you say against vaccines?
Bad.
Yeah! Good. Vaccines are good.
They're good.
They're good, but they should
They're good, but they should be your choices anyways.
I get that.
I'm gonna get 6 rounds.
Vaccines
Because they cost a lot of money.
And people can have reactions to it.
Costs more money going to the hospital.
It's true.
Alright, thanks for listening, guys.